No viewers? Are we live?
We are live. Hello and welcome. We're Technomadia, Chris Dumpy and Shree VI. And for the last
just over 2 weeks.
2.5 weeks, since October 16th, we've been here in Sacramento clearing out our storage units.
It is November 1st right now.
Today is November 1st. So
it has been an incredibly intense 2 weeks. I've been spending 12 hours a day in here, and Shree's been spending 24 hours a day cooped up in a little metal tube.
Yes, I've not been able to join Chris over here. Number one, it's a pretty personal journey for him to come through and handle this. And also, we have a Mini Cooper as our vehicle, so for him to do loads to Goodwill and getting things home to be shipped and things like that, he needed all the space in that little Mini.
The Mini does an amazing job. It's very versatile. It can carry a decent amount of cargo. It can actually carry 4 people, but you can't do people and cargo at the same time. Even the passenger seat was full of bins almost every time I was going back and forth, or full of trash bags. So
trash canisters and
trash
bags.
cans.
So yes. So we've not spent much time together in the last 2.5 weeks.
Who are you? I don't recognize you.
Anyway, so we are down to the final load. So we're going to open up the storage unit.
The last.
This will be our last load on it. We thank you for joining us for this occasion.
Take this off. We'll put it on a belt loop or something, and be done with it. Oops, there we go. I don't need. Hey, let go. There. I don't need this anymore.
Alright.
Ta-da! It is just about empty. Except for the guardian bear. This is the guy who's been keeping me company. This guy here has been keeping me company. He's been watching over my stuff in storage for over 7 years now. And has been keeping me company through this whole process. You see, he has a sword. So he's ready to defend the storage. And he's got a magical torch. So he's been a good companion. Fun to talk to. He tells me all sorts of interesting stories, but he's ready to come home now too. Your relief, sir.
Yeah, so the bear will be joining us in the bus for a while until we find the right forever home. So this is it.
Yeah, there's basically just a little bit of crap and trash left, and some stuff to take to 2 old gas canisters and an old battery that need to be properly disposed of. And that's it. We're done. Woo!
Woohoo!
You go sleep now?
So we'll have a blog post up soon talking about the approach that we took to this and how we got this done. And
yes, so I guess we could cover a few of the lessons learned and tips right now to have this for videos posterity's sake. I see a few people have joined, so if you want to throw in questions,
go for
it. Tips, the ultimate tip, for me, I like to work in, and Shree knows this, that I work better under very intense deadlines. So that's why we took on doing this in 2 weeks.
Yes, I knew that if we came here and booked a monthly spot at the RV park and gave ourselves a full month, he would just...
It would take a full month.
He will take whatever time he gives them. And we didn't really have a month. I'd rather be other places, especially because the RV park we're at is kind of boring.
Yes. Although if we had taken a month, there probably would have been more opportunities to take days off and social time. We took 1 day off.
We took 1 day off, and I think we had maybe combined 3 hours of social time the entire time we were here.
Yes.
So yeah, this has been very hyper-focused, but that's how Chris works best. He works best in those intense bursts. It's just a difference in our personalities. I work best spreading out things over time, managed, but he just goes into intense chaos, and I just kind of have to close my ears
And so my number one trick for dealing with stuff while in intense chaos mode is you kind of go into just like a hospital trauma room. You have to triage, and so for me that'd be like open a box and it's like, oh, this is overwhelming. There's way too much to even think about in here, but you just start going through it, and it's like this is clearly a keep, and this is clearly can go away to either Goodwill or trash, and then anything that it takes just even a moment to figure out just goes into cycles through into another box. You basically sort from one into another, and then that one is half the size of what you started with or less, and it still might be a project for later. You might be able to cycle back, and I was able to make several rounds, but that way you don't get too sucked into this is overwhelming, there's too much little detail to sort through.
Right, you have to keep making progress, and you have to start feeling the progress somewhere. So like the first day we arrived in Sacramento, we came here to the storage unit, and we just did an initial triage of what is here, got our heads wrapped around what was left here, and we actually took a load that evening right over to Goodwill of stuff that we knew we weren't going to be able to keep or sell, and it just felt good to start making progress. So keep making progress, keep at it, and like Chris said, just look at one small area at a time and reduce it.
And just go cycle. I had bins. I'd go from one bin to the other, back to the first one, back to the first one. But each time, while I was moving, would be getting smaller and smaller. Because in the back of my mind, at least, once I looked at something, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. It's put aside, but when I look at it again, it's processed, and I'm like, okay, I know what to do with this. I know where this needs to go, or what I want to do with this, and where. And so the next time it goes through, it's like, okay, that one's off. Into Goodwill land.
Right. So one of the goals of doing this, this is all stuff that Chris kept before he hit the road, and there are reasons he kept it, because it had meaning to him.
Right.
And he didn't want to just come here and put everything in the trash bin or have it go to Goodwill. So he's put a lot of effort into finding the right homes. Yeah. And so what were some of your...
So for me, most everything here was special in some fashion. So it had to... I prefer, as I like to say, I don't have anything against Goodwill. Hold on, you gotta see this. I clearly don't have anything against Goodwill, because Goodwill has, these are all the Goodwill receipts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus the St. Vincent de Paul. So in 16 days, like 11 trips to donate stuff. Maybe even more, because I think the cat ate one of them completely. But so I've got nothing against Goodwill, but I like to have my stuff have the story behind it continue on. So that's what I mean by find a good home for it. And so there was a lot of reaching out. And actually the best luck I had finding good homes was posting pictures and stories of things as I found them onto Facebook, onto my personal Facebook.
It's personal Facebook. We didn't clutter up the Technomadia Facebook.
Not too much. And a lot of people would be like, oh, I've got like one friend who, one of the Lego sets I had, has been dreaming of having this particular Lego set since he was little, and he's all over having that. And it's like, I'm thrilled to have that go to a good home there. I had other people, another friend who, all the plates and bowls and all the nice, not super nice, but like Crate and Barrel, nice match set of tableware. She was thrilled to actually have her first grown-up set of tableware, and she drove all the way from San Francisco to visit us and to get that stuff and to get a whole bunch of movies and all these things. Because like movies and DVDs and books and stuff are not worth much selling.
Well, some are. Some are. That's one of the things I did. Is he would bring me home a crate full of books and DVDs and things like that. And I'd go through them, look them up on Amazon, and see if they had value. Yep. And if they did, I put them aside, and I now have a bin that I'll be working through selling for him. Right. But those that we figured, were less than $10 in value or selling, well, then those came in, went kind of into a shelf where, as people came to retrieve stuff, they were offered to them as gifts.
Gifts, movies. And so a lot of stuff went to friends. A lot of stuff went to other good homes like that. One big thing for me is I don't know how many of you might watching this know that I used to be a magazine editor. I was the first technical editor of Boot magazine, and one of the still lives on as Maximum PC, so one of the longest surviving PC general enthusiast magazines. And before that, I was just I loved magazines. They were a big part of me growing up as a geek, and I collected and saved probably 1,000 pounds, like 9 or 10 boxes worth of magazines was in here, and just had to figure out what to do with them, and they meant a lot to me. And I ended up finding a good home, and the Internet Archive is archiving all this old data, all this, dawn of the computer age stuff, and they were excited to get my magazine collection, and so I'm able to pass it on to a museum, basically.
Yes, they actually helped us find a volunteer here in Sacramento with a truck to come and get it all to go deliver it to the Internet Archive. So that was really cool. So a whole bunch of his treasures will now be archived, and he'll be able to access them online as well as everybody else.
And then also I had another job I had in the past was I was the developer relations manager and chief evangelist of a graphics card company. And when I was a magazine editor, I reviewed tons of graphics cards. So I had a whole bunch of vintage graphics cards. You can't even buy a computer anymore that these could plug into. So they were all destined to go into the trash. But actually for the last 3 years, basically the entire time we've been away from the storage unit, every 6 months I've been getting a mail from a guy saying, hey, I've got a museum of vintage technology and vintage graphics cards, and I really want your collection. And I kept saying, well, whenever I get back to the storage unit, I will send them to you. And I finally got here, and I got to send him all this vintage graphics cards to a museum in the UK.
So it's been really good to find some of the stuff he's been holding on to, stuff that had meaning and part of his career and who he is as a geek, and to be able to find the right homes for it. So a lot of manifestation was having to go on in the last 2.5 weeks to get everything on. I was managing probably about 20 or 30 Craigslist ads in communication with those for some of the larger furniture items that we wanted to sell.
And then a lot of stuff, we found a local, right near where we were staying, a local used bookstore that would buy books, and you would make, it'd be kind of depressing when you bring in a whole bin of really great books in great condition, and the bin would be worth like $17. But on the other hand, these books are then going to a bookstore where they're going to be put on shelves and treasured and find new owners who are really explicitly looking for these books. So it's actually kind of really great. Actually, as I go there every few days to drop off another bin of books, I'd walk around while they're pricing the books I drop off, and I'd see books that I'd given them on the shelves.
So I think you took about 6 loads over to Dimple.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, 6 or so, and we probably got about $50 out of it. But it was worthwhile. It's better than just dropping it off at a Goodwill or something, and because it's going to a specialty shop where people are going to be looking for it.
Right, and then of course all the books that weren't that didn't have a market for it, they would actually process and send straight to the Salvation Army. So the books still lived on one way or the other.
But it gives them a shot to get into appreciative homes.
Right.
So that's kind of what we did. Is we did a lot of networking to use our personal connections to, and Chris lived in San Francisco, so we had a lot of community, and we were really, really surprised with the number of our friends from San Francisco who made the drive up to Sacramento to pick up a load of stuff from us and spend a little bit of social time together. So basically our social outings have been restricted to people who were taking stuff.
Right.
That's pretty much...
I wish we had more time to be social. I wish we had time to go down to San Francisco this time. But next time we come to California, it will be all about doing the California things as opposed to the California chores. So next time we're in California, it will be the fun time.
Oh, maybe. So that's what the last 2.5 weeks have been like. We'll have a blog post up kind of going over it all again and probably be linking to this video. So.
Okay, any last questions
if
about
anyone has
purging,
any questions,
the process,
there's a few of you
else?
online live with us. There's a chat box up in the upper right-hand corner if you're on a computer or on a browser. You can actually chat us up and we can see it on the iPad. We'll be happy to answer any questions real quick if you have any.
If you have any questions for the fair, he'll be answering questions as well.
So be Kiki's new friend.
If there are no last call for questions, then thank you for tuning in and or watching this archive. I'm exhausted, and I think I've got some cinnamon whiskey waiting to celebrate and toast being done with the storage unit. Yes. No more $144 a month. Yes. I'm quite excited.
Yes, this tour is done and over with. We're thrilled. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for those of you who have been giving us kudos and appreciative help along the way.
A lot of great comments online. Thank you so much.
And some not so great ones that we had to actually ban people. But oh well, it happens. Anyway, thank you. We'll see you next time. Sorry for the last impromptu twist of this
last minute-ness.
But it is what it is. And we'll see you next month for our next video chat.